Dating apps make it easier for us to meet people with similar interests to chat, or even to meet up with if all goes well. But they also hide a dark side, where some people use these apps to lure unsuspecting victims into situations that can very often turn into horror events. Number 5. In 2020, 22-year-old Kirsten Gross and her boyfriend, 21-year-old Luis Santos, from New Bedford, Massachusetts, devised a scheme where they would use dating apps and websites to set up a profile under Kirsten's name in order to attract victims who they would then rob. Their first victim was a 25-year-old man from Brockton and met Kirsten on the dating app Meet Me, and they agreed to meet at her residence at 104 Tallman Street. He traveled to the meeting spot and saw that she was waiting for him outside. They then arranged to meet at a local Dunkin' Donuts, but when he arrived, he was met with a nasty surprise. Santos had been waiting at the restaurant and immediately approached the victim, armed with a sharpened blade. The man was ordered to hand over his driver's license and wallet containing $200, though his license was returned to him before being released. Santos then told the man that he knew where he lived and that if he got the police involved, he would come after him. But the man contacted police anyway, and they attempted to locate the couple at their address as given to the victim. However, they were told by family members that the couple did not live there, and they'd been kicked out of the property after it came to light that they were robbing people and returning to the apartment with the stolen money and goods. She would also state that a blade from her kitchen was missing, and that she believed it to be the weapon that was being used during the robberies. Police would later learn that another victim had fallen prey to the couple's scheme. A 29-year-old man from Rochester met Kirsten via the website Plenty of Fish. He was directed to the same address where he was confronted by Gross. He was robbed of his driver's license, $160 in cash, his debit card, medication, and a black iPhone X Plus. On the 17th of January, police officers working the night shift responded to a disturbance call on Depot Street, East Freetown, where they found Kirsten. She was arrested after it was discovered she had 4 outstanding warrants to her name. That same morning, at around 2 a.m., 2 officers traveled to Gross's home at Brandy Hill Apartments, and they found him hiding in the bathroom. He eventually responded to orders to come out, and he was placed under arrest. He was found to have 5 outstanding warrants. The couple is deemed to be dangerous, and both have been ordered to be held for 4 months while they await their trial date. Number 4. On the 11th of November 2020, Brittany Carreri shared a photo of her and Ben Fancher while enjoying their first date together. They had just met on the dating app Hinge that same day, and up to this point, everything was going smoothly. She described him in her post as a super nice guy and stated that they were laughing throughout the whole night, just having a great time. After meeting some of her friends and family, they spent the evening in various restaurants and nightclubs. But as they were leaving the Hyde Lounge in Buckhead, Atlanta and heading home, he turned into a completely different person. He started yelling at her that their date had cost him too much money and that she isn't worth that much. He was also angry that she had danced with 2 other women while they were in one of the bars. He then started assaulting her for over an hour while still driving the car. At one point, she started to fear for her life when he drew a weapon and threatened to use it on her. He then stopped in Northwest Atlanta at the Westside Provisions District, where he forced her out of the car before dragging her along the ground, still assaulting her. Luckily, a nearby security guard saw what was happening and ran over to where the attack was happening. He yelled at Fancher to stop, all the while taking pictures as evidence. Fancher got a fright and jumped into his vehicle, a white BMW, and fled the scene. The security guard then called 911. Brittany would state afterwards that the attack had a profound impact on her mentally, and that she's left wondering if Fancher's intentions that night had been to attack her all along, as in retrospect, she felt like she was being set up. Fancher was eventually tracked down by the Kent Police Department in New York after he was recognized on one of Brittany's social media posts. A woman who had also met him on a dating app recognized his face and drove by his grandparents' house where he said he was staying. When he saw that his car was parked in the driveway, she went to the police station and he was taken into custody. Fancher faces charges of aggravated assault, kidnapping, and false imprisonment after being extradited to Georgia. Number 3. Chen Zizhong, a Chinese tourist visiting the Philippines, was using a dating app called Tantan to find a date when he matched with a woman and they agreed to meet up in Cavite. But unbeknownst to Chen, he had been targeted by a kidnap for ransom syndicate that uses the app to lure their victims. Upon arriving at the prearranged spot, he was attacked by 9 men. The men forced Chen into their car and drove him to their hideout at around 11:30 p.m. He was taken inside the property and severely assaulted before being robbed of the $240 in cash he had set aside to use on the date. They then forced him to contact his relatives in China and told them that they would have to pay a further $10,000 to secure his release, or he would come to further harm. Chen's family members managed to gather the amount of money and paid it into his bank account, and he was released at 4 a.m. on the 18th of March 2021. He was taken to a nearby hospital where he was treated and is expected to make a full recovery. The 9 suspects were eventually tracked down during a follow-up operation. They face charges of kidnapping for ransom and severe unlawful detention. Number 2. Josiah McDonald and Jeremiah Manny, 2 18-year-old men, are facing prison time after using Tinder as a tool to rob 2 unsuspecting men. Neither of the robbers have adult criminal records, but they will now face charges of aggravated kidnapping, aggravated vehicular hijacking, and aggravated robbery, all of which are felony charges. The first victim, who has not been named, is a 21-year-old man who they arranged to meet up with after posing as a woman using a fake profile online. They arranged to meet in Chicago, Illinois, but when the man arrived, he found that he had been set up. Instead, he came face to face with 4 men wearing ski masks. McDonald and Manny placed a weapon against his back and placed him into his own vehicle before driving him to an ATM, where they forced him to withdraw money and hand it over to them. They then drove to a gas station where they purchased alcohol and cigarettes before proceeding to the 6700 block of South Cottage Grove Avenue, where they dropped him off and made their escape in his car, stealing his cell phone in the process. The victim's mother managed to track her son's phone and notified police. The 2 men were found still sitting in the victim's car with all of the proceeds from the robbery, and they were immediately taken into custody. Police would then learn that the 2 had committed a similar crime only 45 minutes before the ATM robbery. Another unnamed 23-year-old victim had responded to the same fake profile and arranged to meet up at a house. Upon arriving, he was taken to the house's basement, where he too was confronted by the 4 men wearing ski masks, all of which was brandishing a weapon. He was struck with a metal object, and when he fell to the ground, they pounced on him, and he too was robbed. They then drove him down the road a few blocks away, where he was thrown out of the vehicle before the robbers took off with his vehicle and his cell phone. Number 1. In January of 2021, Saili Kale, a 27-year-old woman from India, was arrested after Ashish Kumar, an education career guide, lodged a complaint with police in which he stated that he was robbed by a woman who he met on a dating app. The 2 had agreed to meet at a local hotel and had a few drinks together. However, as their date was drawing to a close, she robbed him of his gold jewelry, cash, and cell phone. But after an intense interrogation, police would learn that this wasn't the first time that Saili had lured people into her plans for robbery. She would later tell police that she had lost her job at a telecommunications company due to the lockdown brought on by the coronavirus, and it's believed that she thought the robberies would be a good way to create income for herself. After her father passed away, Saili's mother fell into depression and was struggling to sleep at night. She was given a prescription for tablets that would help her sleep, and Saili would have the prescription filled for her. But she would keep some of the medication to sedate her victims after meeting with them in various hotels, lodges, and apartments before robbing them and making off with their valuables. She admitted to have duped 16 men into a robbery and extortion scheme over the last year, with the use of multiple dating apps, including Bumble and Tinder. She only targeted people who lived outside of Pune and asked them to travel there to meet her. She would also confess to extorting money from 2 women who had arranged to meet with her. After spending the night together, she blackmailed the women, one of which is married, by threatening to reveal photos that had been sent to her. But she was eventually arrested after a police team created various fake profiles on Bumble and Tinder. At first, she didn't respond to friend requests, but when they created profiles in which they posed as women, she took the bait. They then arranged to meet up with her, and when she arrived, she was taken into custody. When her house was searched, it was found that she had over $20,000 of stolen goods, several cell phones, and more than 189 grams in gold jewelry from her victims. The 2 women who she extorted money from have refused to come forward to testify against her, but they worked with police by supplying them with information on Sile's modus operandi. She has been charged under Section 379 pertaining to theft under the Indian Penal Code and is still awaiting trial. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.